Good evening, folks, and welcome back to another episode of NASCAR Backmarker Battles. I'm your host, Colby Evans, a.k.a. Startin' Parker on Twitter, and boy, do we have a fun show for you guys today. We have an underdog winner, one of the more fun episodes of Backmarker Battles I've been waiting for. We can finally not only report a good backmarker finish, but a backmarker mid-pack team win. We rarely see these, not mainly just dominant fashions. This was an awesome weekend. I'm so excited for tonight's show, guys. Michael McDowell getting his first win since the 2021 Daytona 500 in dominating fashion. Front Row Motorsports gets it done. Like I said, a lot of fun stuff to talk about. And, of course, we also are previewing the backmarker battles for this weekend's races in Watkins, Glen. So, yeah, it's a road course themed show this weekend. We got an underdog winner to talk about, a lot to talk about. So, again, I thank you guys for joining me tonight. We're going to get through my little intro I go through at the beginning of every podcast. And, yeah, we'll jump right into it. You guys know the drill. Follow me on social media, Startin' Parker on Twitter. We just passed 5,000 followers not too long ago, so let's get that number up to 5,100 if you enjoy this show. Like and subscribe to the channel. Turn on that bell for all notifications so you guys never miss a podcast when we go live. We go live at 7 p.m. every Tuesday and Thursday. And, of course, check out theracingexperts.com for all media-related content. They are the official NASCAR media website of this podcast. So, Indianapolis, I've made my intentions clear on this podcast before. I am not the biggest fan of the road course. I prefer the oval. I've always preferred the oval, even though, some people have shown my takes have been a little dishonest. I still prefer the oval. No matter how bad some of these races we've seen at the Brickyard can be sometimes, I will always prefer the oval over a road course. I've never just truly been the biggest fan of road course racing. It's always hit or miss. I will say, though, this weekend, the Glen, I'm actually curious to see what you guys in the chat, what's your favorite road course? My personal favorite road course is the Glen. That is my personal favorite road course to watch, to race on. So I'm curious to see what you guys in the chat, what's your favorite road course? Can be on any schedule, any F1, NASCAR, sports cars, V8 supercars. What's your favorite road course on the planet? Mine is Watkins Glen. That's my favorite road course. But yeah, so they raced at Indianapolis. Indianapolis this past weekend, obviously with the ARCA stuff. We'll get to that on Thursday. Only had the two series. At the road course. The trucks were at IRP with ARCA. Still wish Xfinity would go back to IRP, but man can dream. So can't quite have that. But yeah, it's a truck series at IRP. We'll start off with that. Just great seeing the truck series back in general at IRP. IRP, it's a fun track. My only complaint is you can just kind of tell by looking at the racetrack itself, even on TV, IRP needs some work. I know that obviously, sorry if you can hear some commotion upstairs. My parents are doing some stuff. IRP does need some work. You can just tell even by watching it on TV. The track, you look at a photo of IRP from 10 years ago to now, it looks exactly the same. They really haven't done anything to update it. And unfortunately, in these times, you got to do some updates. So if we're going to keep racing at IRP and we're going to eventually bring the Xfinity Series back, which we should bring the Xfinity Series back, we need to put a little bit of money into IRP to get some more restrooms, maybe some more food stands. I heard people were waiting like 30 minutes to buy a beer, which I hate that. Definitely need to make those adjustments. But if we can, maybe IRP can be more of a mainstay on the Xfinity schedule, because I definitely don't like the Xfinity Series at the Indy Road Course. They belong at IRP. Save the big boys. Save the big boys for Indianapolis. Yeah. Because the last time I was at IRP, it was actually when it was called O'Reilly Raceway Park. And that was back in 2010. And I can tell you, looking at the photos of the track when we went, my father and I went back in 2010, and looking at the track on TV last Friday, nothing has changed, which is not a good thing. But yeah, still, that's just kind of my minor quibbles about IRP. Needs some work, but the track itself, phenomenal. Tire wears, highline racing. It is a great racetrack, though. It is just a great racetrack overall, though. We had 39 trucks for 36 spots, a race that I really did not predict would get DNQs, but still nonetheless kind of made it more fun to watch, obviously. They did have practice out. For some reason, they had Group A and Group B practice sessions. I still don't understand the point of this. I mean, I know we got 39 guys out there, and I know we got some guys that aren't the most experienced, but we really need two different groups of truck practice. Like, that just doesn't – I don't feel like what's the point of that? The only real highlights of truck practice were Lawless Allen crashing 2 different times in the exact same spot, nonetheless, which is about the most Lawless Allen thing he could do. You know, for as much as I try to stick up for this guy sometimes he just makes everyone else's point. I try to stick up for Lawless sometimes that, he's getting the crappy equipment over at Nice and maybe he can do something better. But it's when he does something like this, it's like, I kind of feel like an idiot for saying that, because literally, like Ryan in the chat said, within 5 minutes, he crashes not once but twice in the exact same spot. Much less crashing twice, but do it in the exact same spot in the exact same manner. Now, that's impressive. That, my friends, is impressive. Other than that, that was kind of the only moment, really, of practice. Some of the oddball entries we had in this race, we had Armani Williams, G2G was back. Josh Raylan was still in his 33. Tyler Hill was driving the 56 for Timmy. Chad Chastain was in the 44, and I was a little skeptical about that entry. We picked him on my DNQ list, with the 44 not having a lot of points and Chad in general not being very fast. Greg Van Alst, who's also was reported to drive the 20 for the rest of the year. SVG, Shane Van Gisberen, if I pronounced his name correctly. If I didn't, I'm sorry. I'm trying here. He was in the 41. Kind of cool to see him get some lower tier experience in the short tracks. We had Landon Lewis driving for Roper Racing. Jake Drew was in the 61 for Hattori. Connor Jones, obviously, in the 66. William Sawalich was back in the 1. I believe that was it for the oddball entries. Oh, we had Lane Riggs. Lane Riggs in the Spire 7 truck. The only real highlights for the backmarkers in practice, we had Colby Howard up in 13th, which was cool to see. The CR7 team. And that's just kind of been the story of CR7's season. CR7 can sometimes have a good practice run. They can have a good qualifying run. Colby Howard is really good. He's just not really been in the best equipment. By the time he had gotten to JD Motorsports was on a decline. They were no longer on the upspring, in my opinion. They were on a decline when they tried to run 4 full-time cars. I just still don't understand why they did that. Still don't understand why they really did that. I love Colby Howard, though. Still love everybody on JD Motorsports, but still, the move to 4 cars, I still don't know why they did that. And did nothing but hurt the team. But yeah, Colby Howard, the 9 team, they can put together a good practice run. They can put together a good qualifying run. They just can't complete a race. And when we discuss the race results, you'll see, again, they just can't seem to have any luck finishing these races, either good or having mechanical problems or crashing. But they were kind of the good story of backmarkers in the practice. I guess you could kind of consider the Spire 7 truck a lower tier team. They do put a lot of effort into this truck deal compared to their Cup Series, mainly because it's also part-time, so it's a lot easier for them to run in the Truck Series, get a fresh Ilmore in the truck since they're only part-time. So you could kind of consider Lane Riggs a backmarker because of the organization, not necessarily on the truck itself, just kind of the organization is one of those backmarker organizations. But when they go down to the lower series, they run way more competitive. That's why I'm shocked Spire Motorsports does not run a full-time truck team. I think if they sold that 77 charter, focused on the 7-car and Cup, and ran a truck team, they could have a championship level truck team and a decent level Cup team. I still agree that 77 car for Spire is useless. Not the driver, the car. Just no matter who they put in that 77 car, it's just useless. No disrespect to Ty Dillon. Other than that, no real good backmarker runs. Again, because it's a hard track. You use up your tires very, very quickly at a track like this. So a lot of the guys were stuck down towards the bottom. Some of the bad runs that I will point out, Deegan, 30th. Jack Wood. It's just sad seeing the KBM 51 truck running this low every week. Jack Wood 29th, Chase Purdy 27th. I mean, when was the last time we had both Kyle Busch Motorsports trucks outside of the top 25? Top 25 in truck practice. So I don't know if has that ever happened? Seriously, I don't know if anyone can look up the statistics right now, but has there been a Kyle Busch truck that has failed to practice inside the top 25? I can't remember the last time that happening. That is just unbelievable to think. But it was clear that looking at practice times, Armani Williams, he just had no shot. Armani's he's kind of a slow driver. He's a great story. You know, I don't remember his medical problems, but Armani's a good story. He's a good kid, really, really good guy, good kid. I don't remember his problem. I know he has some sort of medical issue that he deals with. I don't quite remember it off the top of my head. Josh Rayome as well. You know, we know they've been struggling this year with the DNQs. And Chad Chastain. I just figured that since the 44 had little to no points, it was very skeptical to me on why they even entered the car or the truck. I mean, sorry, got confused. Because that put a lot of pressure on Chad. And we know he's not the fastest driver. He's nothing like his brother. And come qualifying, it came close for one of them, but qualifying pretty much showed that, yeah, Armani had no shot. He was the slowest truck in qualifying, although did run his fastest lap of the entire weekend. Chad Chastain was not much faster. He was pretty slow. And poor Josh Rayome, he ran his qualifying lap without power steering. Autism spectrum. Okay. So that's what's wrong with Armani Williams. Okay, I forgot about his medical. I know he had a medical. He is dealing with medical problems, but I didn't know which one. So I guess autism spectrum is what Armani's doing. He's a good kid, good guy though, really good guy though. But he is slow. But he's a good guy. I felt bad for Josh Rayome. No power steering on his qualifying lap. So the fact that he did as good as he did is pretty impressive. He missed the show by just 25 one-thousandths of a second, which at a short track, man, I tell you, if he probably had power steering, there's a good chance he would have made the race. If he had power steering, he would have probably made the race. But yeah, so Josh Rayome goes home again. Been a really, really tough year for Rayome Brothers Racing with the shop fire, losing Mason Massey earlier in the year, destroying a lot of their good trucks, good motors. And it's just they've reduced to been running the same crap that they've always been running. And you can just tell that they are just right back where they were last year, even though they switched manufacturers. And it's sad because Josh is a very hardworking guy. He's got a very hardworking group of guys, but they just can't buy a break, unfortunately. Chad Chastain, like I said, man, I would say that's kind of embarrassing. We know how well those niche trucks are prepped. And for him to be as slow as he was, like he missed the show by over a tenth, which in a niche truck, I would say is quite embarrassing. Armani Williams, he missed the show by almost a second, but I still say he tried his best. For G2G, man, I tell you, you know, even though they weren't very good last year with finishing races, they at least made races. They didn't DNQ a lot last year, but they really DNQ'd a lot this year. So I'm skeptical on what G2G might do for next year with all of these damn DNQs. I mean, it's surprising to see G2G struggling this much. And I think it's because they had a good thing going with Brennan Poole. But then once they lost Brennan Poole because of his full-time Xfinity ride, they've just had a hard time finding pay drivers. They had to take who they can get. Some of the highlights of backmarker qualifying were Colby Howard once again, 16th for him. Matt Mills in the 0-2 truck, the last-minute deal for Young's, 17th. So one of a great qualifying run for him. Lane Riggs was 12th. And that was pretty much the only ones that did good. I missed a little bit of the beginning of the truck race due to a family dinner. Until, of course, I got tweeted at that Greg Van Alst had once again was going to again finish last in a truck race. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Is there a guy that has had worse luck in his NASCAR debuts than Greg Van Alst? He is such a hardworking man, good guy. You know, his deal with Alpha Prime was absolutely embarrassing. You know, the car was so loose at Atlanta, and then they just brought the absolute wrong brake package to New Hampshire, which I don't know. I honestly, that's almost inexcusable in my opinion, how you can bring such a horrible brake package to New Hampshire that pretty much forced Van Alst to start and park the race because there's no way his car was going to go the whole distance, which is, like I said, it's just ridiculous. And then he gets this deal with Young's. Supposedly, again, he was supposed to have more Xfinity starts, I guess, but that might have fallen through. So now he gets this deal with the Truck Series for Young's Motorsports. And then literally in his first shot, he's involved in a crash that, again, is not even his fault. It's not his fault, man. You know, at Atlanta, he just got loose. New Hampshire, team failed him on the brakes. In this race, he just involved in a crash that he had nowhere to go. I mean, no luck whatsoever. And it almost makes me wonder, man, should Greg have left ARCA? I'm starting to think he probably shouldn't have. Because, I mean, every ARCA race, Greg Van Alst always got TV time. You know, I feel like Greg had it better in ARCA than he realized. He always got TV time every race. He did. You can go back every ARCA race. They always showed Greg on TV because they talked about how he's one of the hardest working men in the garage, which he is. He was. Greg Van Alst is a beast. And, you know, his team are beasts. Bruce, God rest his soul, he was awesome. I loved seeing Bruce in the garage. And I just feel like maybe Greg, you know, he got frustrated after Charlotte. I don't blame him. What Connor Mosack did to him was stupid. It was. And it wrecked his only Mustang. It was the only Mustang body that Greg had, and it got wrecked in its second race. And I just think Greg maybe just had enough, and he, you know, wanted to go to other pastures. And unfortunately, he's just finding out that the Xfinity Series and the Truck Series are just as chaotic, if even worse, than the ARCA Series. So maybe Greg will come back to ARCA next year full time. We'll find out. But man, this is just, I have never seen someone finish last in their first 3 NASCAR starts. That I don't know if that has ever been done. And they're not even all his fault. They are not even all his fault, which makes it even sadder. But I think that's the only time in NASCAR history I've ever seen someone finish last in their first 3 starts. Believe me, we'll talk about Carden jumping to Xfinity during the Watkins Glen portion. But yeah, I feel so bad for Greg. Because, I mean, this is not his fault. He's just trying to get himself out there. He's trying to get himself into the bigger ranks of NASCAR, get CB fabricating on more of a national audience. Because, yeah, the ARCA audience is not as big. The truck races are a bigger audience. And unfortunately, the 20 truck did get TV time, but for all the wrong reasons. Yeah, literally 14 laps in. Who does he crash with? What? Haley Deegan, Greg Van Alst, and I believe it was, I didn't see the wreck live. I saw it like in replays. What, Landon Lewis, Haley Deegan, and Greg Van Alst, were they the 3 trucks that wrecked? Because I didn't see the wreck live. I know it pretty much killed Landon's truck for the rest of the race. Deegan was riding around with half a door, which, I mean, Deegan crashing, shocker. And yet people claim that she's the best thing ever. One SRX dirt race does not make Haley Deegan special. Sorry. But yeah, I just feel for Greg. Nowhere to go, it looked like in the crash after seeing a replay. And all 3 trucks were pretty well killed. I mean, the 04 was killed for the rest of the race. The 13 was pretty much killed for the rest of the race. Yeah, the 20, they tried to repair the truck, but the camber, the toe was knocked out. You could just tell the camber was way too skewed. There was no way that 20 truck was getting back going. So that had to suck. And then, of course, you know, one of the things that fans were pointing out is this is the kind of track where, unfortunately, if you DNQ the race or you crash, you can't just load up your truck early and go home. You got to wait till the end of the race. So, unfortunately, for the 33, the 46, and the 20, they had to pretty much sit there in the infield all race long and then load up at the same time as everyone else. God dang, that's got to suck. That really has to suck, in my opinion. So, I just felt bad for Greg. He deserves so much better. And I hope this is not a sign of things to come, man, because he's, like I said, he's just trying to get himself out there. But I really don't think Greg realized he had it a lot better off right now if he was still in ARCA. He'd probably still be battling for second place in the championship right now, to be honest with you, with how Muniz and Delara are still running. So he'd probably still be second or third in the points right now and in the Owners' Championship as well. So, yeah, continuing on with the race. A lot of green flag flow, and sometimes, IRP can have that for as beating and banging and beating the crap out of each other as IRP can be. It also is one of the few short tracks that is really prone to long green flag runs, I would say, outside of Bristol and Martinsville. They ran 40 laps, of course, until the end of the stage. Then they ran another 46 laps until they had a spin on the backstretch, which I believe was the 30 of Chris Hacker. This was definitely not one of Chris Hacker's finer performances. He practiced like junk, he qualified like junk, and he kind of ran his race like junk. This was probably one of the worst performances I've seen out of On Point Motorsports as a whole. And that's not trying to be rude to the team. That's just honesty. They practiced like junk, qualified like junk, and ran like junk. Obviously this was Chris Hacker's first time there. But yeah, really shocked to see that team struggle as bad. He really struggled to see as bad as he did. Also losing quite a few laps in the process. So they got back going green again. SVG at this point, shout out to him. He had literally been running on the lead lap almost the entire race. He got the free pass back on this caution. And then we had more chaos on the backstretch. We had Dean Thompson and Spencer Boyd in a very, very wacky crash. It looked like that Dean Thompson had tried to clear himself. Does anyone know who he tried to clear himself on? Dean Thompson? I didn't quite catch it in the replay. I'm not sure if Fox mentioned it, but Dean Thompson had tried to clear himself, and Dean Thompson had tried to clear himself, was not clear, got turned around into the wall hard, and then Spencer Boyd, we use the meme ARCA brakes. I don't like the term because, sometimes it can be insulting to the series I love. But I have to admit, this was a full-on case of ARCA brakes. What the heck was Spencer Boyd doing? He had 4 to 5 seconds of reaction time. His spotter had 4 to 5 seconds of reaction time to say, low, 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 brake. And he just drove right into the back of the 5 truck. So I don't know what was going on there, what Spencer Boyd wasn't seeing. I know there was a lot of smoke, so he probably couldn't see. But that's why we have spotters, to tell you to go low. And he literally didn't. He just drove right back into the 5 truck, demolished the back of the 5 truck, and demolished the front of his truck. So that's 2 wrecked trucks for Young's Motorsports. I mean, the Young's Motorsports fabrication department must be really pissed off. I hope those guys are getting paid well, because the Young's Motorsports fabrication team have worked their asses off this year with the amount of wrecked trucks that have come home from tracks. The 43 that he was trying to clear, okay. Yeah, because he was trying to clear someone, but I don't think Fox mentioned it. But yeah, what a weird crash. Crash that honestly did not need to happen. For Dean Thompson, man, it really sucks because he's got this great opportunity, and really only at Charlotte this year was the race that he got to show what he could do. And, man, other than that, he really hasn't done anything this year. We know he can do it. They just can't put a race together. And the 12 of Spencer Boyd, well, he does about what Spencer Boyd does best. He either crashes or he runs like crap. And Spencer Boyd's a nice guy. I'm not going to deny that. But he has not improved in pace. If anything, he's gotten worse as time has gone on. And that's being nice. We ran another 2 laps before yet another crash, this time with Haley Deegan. So I'm not sure, did she get help too? Did Haley Deegan get help into the wall? She backed it into the wall hard. Just a really rough night for Haley Deegan. Really rough night, man. The Thor Sport team, you got 3 trucks in the playoffs, and then you got her outside the top 15 in points. So, I don't know. I'm still not the biggest Deegan fan. I'll still say that I think Tony Breidinger has a better future in the sport than Deegan does. I've actually seen improvement out of Tony Breidinger versus Haley Deegan. I haven't seen any improvement out of Deegan, but yet I've seen a boatload of improvement out of Breidinger. So I would like to see what Tony could do full-time in trucks, but I think another season of ARCA would probably help Tony before she would go to trucks. That was the final caution of the race. We went the final 52 laps green, which at a track like this, you wouldn't expect. Along with the other DNFs, like I said, for Colby Howard and the team, practice top 15, qualified 16th, and then unfortunately a suspension issue takes them out of the race after 79 laps, and they finished 35th. So it's like another, potentially great day for Colby Howard, and either they crash or they just have mechanical issues. So, and then the only other DNFs were the 12, the 5, and the 13. Poor Tyler Ankrum. He crashed in practice. They went to a backup truck, and it was such a bad race for them. I mean, it was probably a race that Hattori's team would want to forget. No backmarkers really did well in the last run. The only one I would consider was Lane Riggs. I mean, that guy is so talented. I hope he can find a good ride that suits his talent level. Ty Majeski would end up winning, dominating the race, leading 179 of 200. Lane Riggs would finish third. Really no other good backmarker runs until you got outside the top 20. And I kind of cut the good backmarker runs outside of the top 20, if that makes sense. SVG did a good job. SVG did a great job finishing 19th for his first oval start. But yeah, guys like Matt Mills, 23rd, Lawless Allen, 24th, Brett Holmes, 25th, Tyler Hill, 26th, Landon Lewis, 28th, Chris Hacker, 29th. Yeah, so the IRP was not very kind to most of the backmarkers and lower tier organizations. But they will be back. Yeah, Logan Bearden. Actually, that's not a bad run for Logan Bearden, to be honest with you, the road course guy, to run 21st in the 22. But still, I don't really count it. The next race for them will be in 2 weeks at the Milwaukee Mile. Yes, the Milwaukee Mile is back on the Truck Series schedule, so that'll be a fun race to watch. I've thought about it going to that race, but I don't think I'm going to be going to that one. Just going through a lot of stuff right now, and I just don't think just going to save my energy for Kansas, if that makes sense. Save my money and save my energy for Kansas. But that was the Truck Series at IRP. Very fun short track. Hope the Xfinity Series can go there. But obviously, upgrades are needed before any of that can happen. Now move on to the Xfinity race, the Pennzoil 150 at the Brickyard. Unfortunately, it's on the road course instead of the oval. We had a lot of road ringers in this one. We had Will Rogers, Connor Daly, everyone's favorite Brad Perez. Who doesn't love Brad Perez? Andre Castro, Preston Pardis with his own organization, Miguel Paludo, Josh Bilicki was in the race, Sage Karam, Alex Labbe, all the road ringer guys you'd expect to see in the Xfinity Series. CHK was not entered, not shocking. Usually without sponsorship, they don't run road courses due to the cost to show up. Coming in, my DNQ picks were both of the SS Greenlight cars, the 44 and the 02. I was off by one. Both of the SS Greenlight cars failed to qualify. The 44 of Connor Daly also failed to qualify. And the 66 of Will Rogers, unfortunately, also failed to qualify. Unfortunately, none of this was, I couldn't get a setup with my DirecTV provider in time, so I missed practice and qualifying completely. And I couldn't watch practice or qualifying, and I couldn't even track it live either. So I pretty much had to find out from just Twitter updates on who missed the show. From what I was told, there was a lot of rain. Practice was kind of done in the dry. It looked like practice was kind of done in wet. Was it wet or in the dry? I'm confused. Judging by these lap times, it looked like it was kind of done in the wet. From what I heard, it was wet. Alex Labbe, he was surprisingly slowest, but they had issues. You could tell right away that both of the SS Greenlight cars, was going to be a struggle for them to get in. Connor Daly, he only practiced 35th. Will Rogers, He was only 39, so you can kind of tell it's going to be a struggle for a lot of these guys to get in. No real good backmarker practice runs outside of Preston Pardus and Sage Karam. Preston Pardus, like I said, for their own organization, for Preston Pardus to be as good as he is, when you think about the fact that he's driving for his own organization, this is a home-built team. It is very impressive to see Preston Pardus running this well. He's a natural raw talent, and it's so cool to see him running this well. Makes you wonder what he could do if he was in a, if he was back in a DGM car or he was in a colleague car. But it looked like in qualifying, again, cars that were not quick enough. Real shame for SS Greenlight Racing. We've been crapping on them so much this year, but rightfully so. The team has been slow, no luck, crashes, and yeah, they lost both of their full-time drivers. They've been on week-to-week paid drivers with the most random of drivers. This week it was Camden Murphy who had returned in a long time. And it was supposed to be Catherine Legg in the 07, but then that got changed to Colin Garrett. And yeah, both guys failed to qualify. So SS Greenlight Racing's horrible. At this point, it's horrible. It's a horrible season for this organization. Both cars failed to qualify. Connor Daly, man, I tell you, 35th in practice, and only about 35th, 36th in qualifying. And I'll be honest with you guys, I've never understood the hype for Connor Daly. Looking at his IndyCar results, just everything else, he's never been appear to be anything special. He's a great guy. He's got lots of charisma. He's a very charismatic individual. He's a personality that any race team would love. But I've just yet to see anything impressive out of Connor Daly, in my personal opinion. So that's why I picked him to miss the race, because not because of the 44 car, but I just didn't think Connor Daly is really all that good. I really don't think he is. And yeah, for Will Rogers, the 66 car, I should have really known that they brought with their old Toyota car, which is not very fast. The fact that Will was as fast as he was kind of really shows you how hard he was trying. 10th DNQ for MBM this year, but they'll rebound. They are skipping Watkins Glen, by the way, heads up. Then they will be back at Daytona, which is arguably the smartest move to make for that team. But yeah, another note that we'll go over before the race started. It was noted by some reporters that the 39 team, their car was blank. If you guys noticed, it was just the blue and white paint scheme. And it has been now well known, published on social media, that CMR Roofing is in some legal issues right now, unfortunately. Reportedly have not paid the organization. I cannot disclose how much that information was told to me, but respect out of the people who have told me I cannot disclose how much money they owe the organization. Yeah, either way, tough situation for RSS because they are in, they need that money to survive. They've been doing so good this year with their 3 cars. I thought 3 full-time cars would severely hurt RSS. But they've been doing a great job with 3 cars. The 38's well-funded by, the 38's all perfect with, Joe Graff Jr. They just got to worry about sponsors for the 28 and the 38. And the 28's done pretty good at getting week-to-week sponsors. And the 39, yeah, unfortunately, they lost their sponsorship too. So definitely a tough weekend for RSS Racing. The 28 was pretty much unsponsored. The 39 was completely unsponsored. And yeah, the 38, well, Joe Graff Jr. is just not very good on road courses. He'll kind of be the first one to tell you. He ain't the best on road courses, no. So we kind of knew, man, it was going to be a tough weekend for RSS. It really was. I think from what I've been told by some friends, the hauler decal will be pasted over. They're going to kind of like put some white over the CMR logo. So that kind of tells you, man, the seriousness of the situation, that it's not just that they're having some issues, that this could be it for CMR Roofing and the partnership for RSS Racing, and they could be looking for new sponsors going forward. We'll give a quick preview. There is right now no sponsor currently listed for the 39 for Watkins Glen. That's just kind of a heads up as well. But yeah, tough situation for RSS. I love Ryan Sieg. I think Kyle Sieg is one of the brightest young talents in the sport right now. He has so much raw talent. And Joe Graf Jr., he's doing his deal in the 30 and 38. He's not doing bad, but he's not doing great. But he's there. He's there. He's doing okay. Yeah, just sucks to see him in this situation, especially, this mid-season. We're still kind of mid-season as well. But yeah, so the race got started. Was able to catch all of this one. We ran a couple laps, then the rain hit, and then it's like NASCAR is just afraid to run in the rain at this point. They waited out the lightning clock. They waited out the lightning clock, which kind of seemed a little fibbed. I mean, there was literally no rain in the area, and somehow there was a lightning strike. Which again, sometimes sometimes it's for safety reasons, but sometimes I don't know. In this situation, it kind of felt like NASCAR just didn't want to run in the rain, and we really didn't get back going green again until the track was already, almost mostly dry. So I don't know how you call that. I still say the 2016 Mid-Ohio race and the 2020 Charlotte Road Course race, two of my all-time favorite Xfinity races. How wet it were, how much those guys struggled. That's entertainment right there. Yeah, this race, it was okay. It was a two-car race. So for all the people who, crap on ARCA saying it's a two-car race, this was a two-car race. I don't care how else you put it. So, people will just crap on you because they think, you love two-car race. Well, this was a two-car race. It was either AJ Allmendinger or Ty Gibbs. That was going to be your winner of this race. That became very clear for the entire race. And if someone else won, it was because the other two guys either screwed up or crashed or had mechanical problems. Unfortunately, the backmarkers that did struggle, Brad Perez, everybody's favorite, he unfortunately stopped on one of the final corners. Front of the car was on fire. That sucked for him. So he would finish last. We did have another car stopped on track. I believe that was not Joe Graf. There was another car that was stopped on track that brought out a caution. Ross Chastain, the 91, despite qualifying 7th, finished 37th, went to the garage with suspension issues. Probably one of the very few races where I've never seen it was that was Castro because of the broken track bar. Thank you, Daniel. I forgot about it. Yeah, it was a 34 of Castro for the broken track bar is why they threw out the yellow. Chastain, he went to the garage with suspension problems. Castro went to the garage with issues. Joe Graf lost an axle. Chandler Smith, his car was just beat to shreds. The fact that it made it 56 laps is a miracle. Josh Williams, just like Sonoma, unfortunately had more mechanical problems that relegated him to a bad finish. RSS Racing, again, a really tough day for them. The 28 car was just slow. The 39 car was actually running great until they broke a track bar. And then, of course, you counted the issues with the 38. All three RSS cars outside the top 30, so horrible day for them. Blaine Perkins, he was getting beat to shreds out there by the other cars. 31st for him. Ty Gibbs would go on to win in a snoozer by like 7 seconds. Not going to lie, I mean, that was an absolute snoozer. The highlight for me is Alex Labbe, one of the best road course racers I have ever seen. We talk about all these other lower tier guys. I love Josh Bilicki, but man, Alex Labbe, he took an Emmerling Gase car to 11th. That is impressive, man. That is absolutely impressive. So I got to say, I hope guys like Alex Labbe and Josh Bilicki will get their top ride shots one day. We've seen what Sage Karam can do and decent equipment, with Sam Hunt Racing. He nearly won at Road America. It's about time that we see guys like Alex Labbe and guys like Josh Bilicki get those chances as well. I mean, they run so good and inferior equipment. And it's like makes you wonder, what could Alex Labbe do in a JGR car? He'd probably go out there and win. You put Josh Bilicki in a JGR, junior car. He'd probably go out there and win. They are so good, man. So good. And, of course, Sage Karam, again, for Tommy Joe Martins. 15th. Again, another good finish for him. So 11th for Alex Labbe, 15th for Sage Karam, 18th for Josh Bilicki. And that's actually a disappointing run for both Sage and Bilicki. They were better than that. Jeremy Clements with another top 20 finish, and Kyle Weatherman, who looked like Lightning McQueen. He ran at Eldora with his dirt nose in 20th. Some of the other backmarker teams, Preston Pardis fell down to 24th in that last run. Brennan Poole, 25th. Ryan Ellis, 29th. So yeah, not the best day again for Alpha Prime. I believe this was their fourth DNQ of the year, 3 with the 44 car, and 3 with the 44 car and 1 with the 45. So yeah, 4 DNQs this season for Alpha Prime Racing, man. That really sucks for them, man. That's not really good for that organization. Yeah, and the race was a snoozer. 2-car race. Really a 1-car race. I mean, Ty Gibbs, what can you say? He's a really, really good road racer. Actually, I would say the highlight for me is when he got out of the car, went to go wave to the crowd, and there was nobody sitting there. He stopped the car in a section where they didn't have any fans. So he gets out of the car, and he's like, yeah, where's everybody? Gibbs literally gets out of the car, and there's nobody. So it's like, he's like, yeah, where is everyone? It's so funny. That was the highlight of the race for me. Yeah, like I said, well, what are we doing here? What are we doing this year with this series? Go back to IRP, okay? Or let's go back to the oval. This Indy road course for Xfinity just ain't cutting it. And then the Cup Series race. The big thing that we're all really here for, Michael McDowell murders the field at the Brickyard. I'm just going to start right off with it. He led 54 of the 82 laps. I mean, when was the last time you saw a lower tier organization put this much of a hurting on the NASCAR field? Absolutely awesome to see. He qualified 4th, practiced good. We only had 1 caution because Joey Logano lost talent. Yeah. I mean, what a great everything. And the fact that he beat Chase Elliott, he beat the Golden Boy, even better. The last thing we needed was to see the Golden Boy finally get a win. Oh, that would have been bad. Yes, I know I'm not a Chase Elliott fan, okay? But, yeah, God, it was so good to see McDowell get a win. He's such a good guy, and he's such a great driver. At this point, there were rumors that he might go to the 10 car next year. I am so glad that those rumors were died off when he re-signed. Going to Stewart-Haas Racing would actually be a demotion for Michael McDowell. He is perfect where he is right now, in my opinion. But I'm so glad that he won compared to Chase Elliott, because had Chase Elliott won, nobody would have cared. He would have shown no emotion as usual, but yet you have Michael McDowell. He's crying. His family's crying. The raw emotion, you got to love it, man. It is such a great, genuine moment for the sport. And when was the last time you just saw, like I said, an underdog putting this much hurt on the field? I will say, though, had Chase maybe had another lap, he might have gotten there, I'll be honest with you. But still, the lap cars held him up. And, it's like people made such a big deal about how the 42 held him up. Well, why couldn't the 9 just go up there and pass him? And that's what I mean. That's what people are like, oh, the 42 held up the 9 for the final 10 laps. Well, then the 9 should have went up there and passed the 42. It's that simple. 42 car's trying to get back on the lead lap. He doesn't have to give way. I'm still smiling. I hate that Todd Gilliland crashed out and only finished 37th. Finished, but still ran bad. My prediction was one of the open road course drivers would win this race. My prediction was SVG. I believe, was it Kamui to win the race? Kamui had kind of a rough go. He did his best. Got wrecked by Ricky Stenhouse. Ricky Stenhouse took out 2 of the foreigners, which was also entertaining. Brody Kostecki did okay. SVG finished 10th. Brody Kostecki in a backup car, nonetheless, finished 22nd. And, of course, Kamui finished down in 33rd. He kind of, once you struggle in a race that kept going green, he just couldn't get out of the box. Cars in the top 33 charter battle. Mike Rockenfeller gets a solid 24th for Legacy Motor Club. Ty Dillon 27th, and unfortunately for Andy Lally, who really had a better car than 30th, could only muster 30th after struggling for the last part of the day. We'll say though, other than Michael McDowell getting that awesome win, I really thought that the race was a snoozer. People are like, oh, it's old school. And again, it's like, there's that term again, old school. And I'm like, what is old school about this race? What old school long green flag runs and pit strategy? When was the last time we genuinely saw that at a road course? A lot of road courses back in the day had lots of cautions. Not many road courses back in the day had long green flag runs. Not many road courses went flag to flag. So, I hear this term like old school, and I'm just like, no. And going back to Richmond. People go to Richmond to watch fights and crashes. That's why Bristol was sold out every year. Nobody went to Bristol to watch racing. They go to Bristol to watch the crashes, the fights, and the action. That's why people went to Richmond, for the crashes, the fights, and the action, not for old school racing. That's what I feel like people are so out of touch. Everyone's like, oh, all you want to see is crashes and fights. Yeah, because that's what short track racing is. It's what it's been since the 1940s. Crashes and fights. That's what brings the entertainment. Oh, Justin in the chat. Oh, here we go with the snoozer face. Well, hey, that's just my opinion, man. If you don't like that opinion, I'm sorry. That's what I love about short track racing. I don't watch short track racing for the actual racing. I watch it because I want to see someone crash someone. I want to see someone crash someone. That's my appeal of short track racing. Not Bowman Gray levels of crashing, because those guys take it way too far. But still. And a race like this, it was boring. I'm sorry. This race was boring. I mean, if Chase Elliott had won this race, I probably would have fell asleep. If you disagree with that, I'm sorry. If you love the race, good for you. If you liked what we saw on Sunday, good for you. I hope you enjoyed it. But I thought this race was really, really boring. And the only thing that saved it was Michael McDowell winning the race. And yes, we can disagree on it. We can disagree, whether you like the race or not. We can disagree on what you think is entertaining. That's the best part about it. We don't have to argue about it. We can just simply disagree. People in the chat might not agree with what I'm saying, but, I think we all get along at the end of the day. You like what you like. I like what I like. What you might find entertaining, I find boring. What I find boring, you might find entertaining. It goes both ways. But yeah, I thought the race was boring. I voted no on Jeff Gluck's poll. That was not a good race. I'd rather watch a boring Brickyard 400 than that oval race, than that road course race. So, sorry, just kind of got off track there. But yeah, I just don't get it. I don't know how fans can like a race that just goes flag to flag, And we didn't have a lot of road course races back in the day. You would rarely see a road course race that had a long green flag run. There was that one race a couple of races at Sonoma that had those long green flag runs. But even then, they would have a caution from time to time. I'm not even saying bring stage cautions back. I'm not advocating for that at all. That was nice. But yeah, still didn't like it. Overall, Indianapolis needs to go back to the oval. If you disagree with that, that's fine. You can love the road course all you want, but that's just my personal opinion. So that was Indianapolis in a nutshell, and now we'll get on to our preview show for Watkins Glen, my personal favorite road course on the schedule. I wish they would bring back the modifieds. I would bring back the modifieds to Watkins Glen. I wish they would bring back the truck series to Watkins Glen. The modifieds at Watkins Glen. I don't know if you guys have ever seen a modified race at Watkins Glen. Go look it up on YouTube. It is such a shame that they don't bring back the wheel-in modifieds to Watkins Glen. Those suckers were entertaining to watch. And the truck series at Watkins Glen, it's just something different. It's something different for the truck series. It's a really challenging road course for teams. And I feel like it brings a lot more entertainment than a track like COTA would. If I could switch it, take out COTA for the truck series and move that truck series road course race to Watkins Glen. But yeah, unfortunately, probably 2021 was the last truck race we will ever see at Watkins Glen go in the future. Just ARCA, Cup, and Xfinity. We'll talk about ARCA on Thursday. But Xfinity, we have 40 cars for 38 spots. MBM Motorsports will not be there due to financial problems. I mean, that's understandable. Obviously, all the DNQs are playing a factor in that. Some of the notable cars, the 07, which was Chris Hacker, has been changed. Who was driving the 07 again? I can't believe I forgot. Let me check real quick. My friend, one of my friend Austin had posted an update. But Chris Hacker was originally listed in the 07. That has been changed to Josh Bilicki. I don't know how I forgot that. Thank God that Josh Bilicki is in the 07. That means that car actually has a shot at making the race. If Chris Hacker was in the 07, all due respect to him, he probably would not have made the race. Having Josh Bilicki in, we know the 07 will be in the show. Brad Perez will be in the 53 again, likely unsponsored again, but hey, still a great pickup. We know Brad Perez is great on the road courses. And the 74 of Casey Carden. Yes, the guy who has started only a handful of ARCA races for Alex Club is now running Xfinity for CHK. That is absolutely the most oddball entry I have seen this season, and I absolutely love it. Casey's not a bad road course racer. He's just in a car that you can't really tell how good he is. I think he'll do fine. Will he make the show? No. The 74 will not make the show. I love Casey, but he won't make the show. Will he be as slow as everyone says? No. Casey's not a bad road racer, but the 74 just doesn't have enough speed to make the show. He'll be fine out there. He'll hold his own. He might even be ahead of a couple cars, but he won't make the show. My DNQ picks are the 74, and frankly, I think the other choice is kind of tough because the Xfinity field is pretty strong for this week. We do have the 96 FRS entry with Max McLaughlin, and Max. Yeah, I don't know, man. He ran a couple of ARCA races in 2020. He did run the Daytona road course race in 2020. But I don't know, man. I'm actually going to put him on the DNQ list. I don't think FRS makes this one. I think the 44 will just barely make it. The 44 this week is Stefan Parsons, so I think they'll be fine there. Sage Karam's back in the 45. But I'm actually going to go with the 96 and the 74, missing this race. Well, the 74 is not that. I don't think the 74 is going to be like 15 seconds off the pace. No, but I don't think the 74 is going to make the race. They didn't make the race last year. They're not going to make the race this year. No. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see for sure. The 74, in my opinion, is a lock, but I don't see the 96. I don't know. Max McLaughlin just doesn't have a lot of road course experience. If he does, I don't remember him ever being on the road courses all that much. And we got to remember this is a new team. I think this is like their second or third start. So we really don't know how good. We don't really know how good they really are on a road course setup. They have Andrew Abbott as the crew chief. He did work for Josh Rayom's team, so he's not a bad crew chief. He knows what he's doing. But yeah, I'll be interested to see, man. Yeah, only their third attempt, so I wouldn't lock in the 96 personally. I think it's going to be the 96 and the 74. I think the 96 will come close. That's what I'll say. I think the 96 will come close, like 34th, 35th. But I don't see him making the show, unfortunately. Stanton Barrett, always great seeing Stanton back, the stunt man. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Like I said, no sponsors on the 28 and the 39, so maybe they can find some last-minute deals. But yeah, definitely some tough goings ahead for RSS Racing. Alex Labbe is back in the 08 as well, so maybe SS Greenlight Racing with the 07 of Josh Bilicki and the 08 of Alex Labbe can finally put together a decent run. And of course, Ross Chastain is back in the 91 as well. Excuse me. The Cup race, the Gold Bowling at the Glen. No open cars, unlike last week. The oddball entries, they've changed just slightly. Andy Lally is in the 15 this week. Cole Custer returns to the 51. and Josh Bilicki stays in the 78. The top 33 charter battle is still heating up quite nicely between the 77-42 and the 51. It is only four separate, well, technically four cars, yes. 4 points separate those teams. Again, 51 trying to stay inside that top 33 so they can keep the charter for next year, or else they will either be forced to sell it or NASCAR will revoke it. So big for Rick Ware Racing. They got to get that car back in there. Interesting choice of putting Lally in the 15. Cole Custer has not really been the best road racer, despite winning at Chicago, I guess. So I guess maybe I'll eat those words. But, yeah. I forgot the 17 of Hendrick Motorsports. I don't know why they're running this race. Alex Bowman's got plenty of experience. I think, like I said, the 17 Xfinity car for Rick Hendrick is nothing but a tax write-off. That's all it is. It's probably one of the most useless entries, in my personal opinion. All that 17 car is going to do is send a car home. All that 17 is going to do is send cars home. It's a useless entry. Useless. But yeah, the Cup race should be fun. Watching Rockenfeller go at it again in the 42. Ty Dillon, who's actually pretty decent at the Glen. And even Josh Bilicki, like I said, he's back in the 78 again. I think we'll see another probably caution-free race. It wouldn't shock me. But a track like the Glen, I highly enjoy that track way more. Really shocked not to see Project 91 at this race. Not with SVG, but Kimi Räikkönen. Really shocked that they did not run this race again with Kimi Räikkönen like they did last year. I understand they did their deal earlier this year at COTA, but I am shocked that this was only a one-race deal with Kimi Räikkönen. I wish they would run again. Yeah, so my picks for the Xfinity race. I forgot to give that my picks for the Xfinity race. I'm unfortunately going to go with Ty Gibbs again. Much as I don't want to, I want to at least be right with my picks. So I'll go with Ty Gibbs for the Xfinity race, and my pick for the Cup race, I will take. Let's go easy. I want to say Michael McDowell, but I'm going to be honest. I think let's see, on the road course this week. You know what? I think, man, this is a tough choice. Who is going to win the Cup race, in your guys' opinion? I'm looking at the entry list right now. I'm trying to pick nice and hard. I could see, let's just say McDowell. Let's just say McDowell. Fine, we'll go with McDowell. 2 in a row. That'd be cool to see. But yeah, so that's just kind of I got some Keselowski picks. I would love that. Keselowski getting a win. More McDowell picks. He's going to be tough to beat again. The emotion and the adrenaline of winning that race, he's going to be all over the leaders. But yeah, once again, Xfinity qualifying is probably going to be the highlight of the weekend, like it always is. But yeah, 74 and 96 are my picks to go home. Ty Gibbs for the Xfinity race, Michael McDowell for the Cup race. Should be a lot of fun. Xfinity race, of course, is on Saturday. Cup race is on Sunday. Lots of ARCA action in between that. We'll get to all of that on Thursday. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got for you. A rant about Indianapolis, like you guys probably expected me to do, and previewing Watkins Glen. To everyone again who joined me tonight, I appreciate you. I appreciate you joining into tonight's podcast. We've been here for 58 minutes, but I'm going to get out of your guys' hairs now. To the future people who watch the show, thank you for watching. To the people who tune in tonight, thank you for watching. And leave a like to this video. Subscribe to the channel. Turn on that bell, again, for all notifications. You guys never miss a podcast when we go live. We go live every Tuesday and every Thursday at 7 p.m. sharp, unless I got some plans coming up. And then, of course, we'll try to work around it. But 7 p.m. sharp, that's when we like to do it. And, yeah, catch you guys on Thursday with a huge ARCA show, probably one of our biggest shows of the year. So, have a good rest of your Tuesday night. Have a good rest of your week. And we'll see you all on the next episode of NASCAR Backmarker Battles. I'm Colby Evans, starting Park Car, and I'm signing off. So long, guys.